Welcome, everybody, to the Super Connector, where we talk about all things related to the world of influence. Everything from sales to networking, leadership, entrepreneurship, personal branding, and my personal favorite, how to win friends and influence people. Today, we have a special guest, Alexi Coffey. Alexi is an online high-ticket sales closer, author, coach, and co-founder of the Online Sales Institute. He has sold a whopping $8 million in revenue in his 5-year career as a remote sales professional. And believe it or not, on the same offer for 5 years. We're going to get into that. That's incredible. Very interesting. Alexi, how are you doing?
Good man, good. You just said something, the how to win friends and influence people. It's literally my mantra, man. It's my Bible. It was the first book I ever read. So yeah,
That's so
that's
awesome.
awesome.
That's so
Yeah,
awesome. That's part of the reason I created this podcast, all about communication and
love it.
influence. Great. So let's get into it here. $8 million in revenue sold. How? How did you do it?
Nice, man. Well, I guess it's a pretty open-ended question, but I guess it was just a vision. That was it. My background, I was a school teacher, played professional rugby, school teacher, got a lot of head knocks, and really found myself in a bit of a, I guess, downward spiral of, being 24, 25 and hadn't achieved anything in life. But I was seeing all these people that were winning, making great money, and they were where I wanted to be. And there were two things that they did. One was they used other people's times and they built systems and they leveraged time and systems. And the second was they learned how to sell and market. So I knew that I had to learn one of them. And sales was the thing that I guess sort of it felt natural to me. I didn't really want to sit in front of a computer and look at stats and numbers and learn marketing. And I just felt that, I could connect with people, I could speak to them. And from that, I guess it just birthed a sales career and now I just love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm quite similar. I'm very extroverted. I love talking to people. I can be in front of my computer all day, but I have to be talking to someone. And I might not necessarily be connecting with anyone, and people may be hanging up on me over and over on cold calls, but at least I'm talking to someone and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, would you say that you developed a skill set of influence over time, or would you say that it's something that that you kind of had beforehand, which you lightly touched on?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, it's nature nurture. Growing up, I was always, the captain of the football team. I was always sort of, school captain, that sort of thing. Really had a big network of friends and everything like that. So I guess I sort of learned what I'd done in sports and sort of brought that, to the playing field of business and the playing field of sales where, there's always competition. It all relies on you at the end of the day and everything that you do is basically how you trained and how you perform is basically a result of that. So yeah, I guess it was a bit of, natural ability, but then I sort of locked myself in a house and over COVID spent sort of 80, 90 hours a week cold calling and just smashing the dials and would out call anyone else that I could compete with. And that was my whole thing. I was terrible at the start. I really was. My first 3 weeks I didn't close a sale. It didn't, my first month I only made like 34,000 in sales, but I literally had people around me and I knew that if I could, outwork them, double them, triple them each day, I knew that, in a year's time if I was shit, at least I'd given it my good, my all. But I knew that being able to do that and learning myself and learning my own talents, I'd be able to sell and outsell anyone. So it sort of was a bit of that nature of, being a bit of a leader, being competitive and
Yeah.
being fun and sporty versus, I just had this desire to outwork anyone and I was just so hungry for success and what sales could give me, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that competitive spirit. When you explain that, I immediately thought about rugby and football. For everyone watching this from the United States, football, he's actually talking about the ball you kick with your feet. We call it soccer. But that competitive spirit in sales, so long as it's friendly in a team environment, I think is excellent. Sometimes it can be a little bit cutthroat, but if you're on the right team, it's really good. And I do have the same desire sometimes, not to outperform other people, but to outperform myself. I think that outperforming myself, like especially when I'm cold calling, I kind of make it a game for myself. I
Yeah.
make it a game and I want to improve myself and see what I can get away with here, what I can get away with there, how confident How far can I push myself in terms of trying to get the appointment, so on and so forth. And it makes it more fun. Now, when you were doing cold calling, I really have to know because I need advice. Like, how long did it take you to really nail out a bunch of calls at once? Because I did 25 one day and I could barely do it, but then 2 weeks later, I did 200 in a day. So explain that process to me.
Yeah, at the start I was the same, man. I was like learning a CRM over here, learning how I spoke, learning my energy, learning where to focus. And I was the same. It was like, 20, 30 calls. And I was like, holy shit, this is hard. And then I guess it just came, the next week it was 50 and then it was 100. And then where it really changed was I started to really analyze the numbers. And I knew that, the average industry, 10 to 15% is sort of pick up. And I knew that if I could call 200 people every single day, and someone else I was competing with, or the KPI and the current standard was 100 calls a day,
Yep.
I knew I'd be able to double that. And then another thing that I did is I started to pick on Saturdays, Sundays, I picked up as well. So I was just five days a week. And at the start, I was purely into Australia. We were calling about 4 or 5 hours a day in the afternoon,
Yep.
which was the best pickup. And from there, I sort of, we expanded into America. The business started to grow. And I was able to call from like 5 in the morning to 12.
Yeah.
And then I have like a 1 or 2 hours sleep. And then I'd wake up again. And then I'd call Australians into the UK and Europe at night. And so I had this like double day type theory. But then on top of that, I started to call on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
And my numbers just went through the roof, man. And I just became, so thick skinned and so bulletproof that, someone's hanging up on me. If someone's not buying, I know I'll do another 100 dials. 13 people will pick up. 6 of them will be shit. 6 of them will be pitchable. From those 6 that are pitchable, 3 of them will watch the resource. From those 3, one will piff, one will payment plan. And then I was like, cool, if that's 100 people, how do I get to 200 people a day? How do I do that 7 days a week? How do I do that consistently over a year? And that was sort of the way I looked at it. It sort of shaped not just me, I've got sales reps and I've trained over 30 people to sell. And it shaped how they came into the company as well. Because on the interview, I was like, no, we don't have, Saturdays, Sundays off. Unless you're the top performer, you can take it off. But I know the top performer won't take it off because they want to win and they're so hungry. And I sort of built this mantra where it was just, you just got to do it. It's just
Yeah.
how it is. And, the soft people and the people that wanted to sit in a chair all day and be on Zoom and, have 5 booked in calls, they just faded away. And I just built this, psycho sales rep that just could outcall anyone. Might not be the best closing, but they knew that if they did 100 more calls than anyone else, they were going to outclose everyone and outwin. And that's, I guess, just, yeah, where it stemmed from.
Where did you develop? I mean, that's an amazing work ethic. When I listen to it, that is a very serious work ethic because I know myself because I was a construction laborer my whole life and I worked on oil pipelines. So we would do 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And this is like in the Canadian cold, in the hot summer heat, in the rain. It was brutal. Okay. So how did you develop a type of work ethic like that? Because you really have to push yourself.
Man, I was just so broke. Like I was in debt. I hated my life. I wasn't in a good spot when I started sales. I was, I had a $50,000 Mercedes that I was trying to pay off. Mentally I was drained. I had really bad anxiety. I'd come from, working sort of 80, 90 hours a week in disability care, doing, tube feeding and wiping full grown people's bums because they couldn't do it. They were non-verbal autistic kids. So for me to walk from that environment where I had to work like that to just picking up a phone and the worst thing that could happen is I didn't hit a KPI or someone told me, to fuck off,
Yeah.
then you compare that reality to, wiping a full grown man's ass that ate terribly. It just was so easy to pick up the phone and dial that, it
Yeah.
wasn't even hard to walk away from that industry and into sales.
I
Yeah.
have an interesting question. It does sound might sound a little bit off topic, but have you ever been on a cold call and the person doesn't really have much of an interest in the product, but just wants to talk to you and will go off
Yeah,
for
man.
about 15, 20 minutes about their life?
Yeah.
Does that
I'm
only happen to me or does that happen to you too?
No, it happens, man, but you just gotta have that it's like clean cut. It's Dharma. There's a book, I don't know the exact name, and they talk about your Dharma, and they talk about the Dharma of a man, when he's at war is to kill as many men as he can, and in the bedroom it's to impregnate his wife and have a family, and then when he's with his family, it's to be, soft and nurturing and teach them, and when he's, the priest out the front, it's to be, leading people about the Bible. And I guess that in sales, it's to make a sale. It's not to hear about, a Karen's life story. And if she's not buying, man, it's like I'll just either hang up, and I love hanging up on people that are just wasting my time,
Mm,
or I'll just be, really, really nice and just be like, awesome, cool. We've got all this free stuff on YouTube. You should go check that out. And if I can help, you've got my number now. And they'll be
yeah.
like, oh, you're so sweet, so lovely. And then I'll just hang up. Because like 15 minutes there equates to 30 outbound dials, right?
Hmm.
So like if I'm going to spend 30 minutes there, it's like it's not worth my time.
How
So
many
I'll just
outbound? Did you say 15 or
30.
50?
You can do 30. You can do 30, one every 30 seconds if they're not picking up and you're cold
Yeah.
calling. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
good.
I'll just hang up, man. It's not my dharma in that realm to listen to someone. If I was volunteering in an old folks home and I wanted to give and speak, that's my dharma in that present moment. But
Yeah.
on a sales call while I'm grinding, that's not my dharma. It's the hunt. It's to make money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, of course. And it's interesting because sometimes on cold calls, do you ever run into another salesman, another sales professional, and either they're trying to
Yeah.
sell you something back or they're trying to give you a hard time just because they know you're a sales professional and they want to see what you got.
Yeah, man. Sales dudes are funny, like when you go to the shops and you can always feel it and sense it and things like that. But one thing I do know about salespeople is they buy quickly. And
Really?
they just need to know the details, man, and they want to make their own decision. So it's like I just take the energy back with them. If they're matching me with that energy, I'll just, talk over top of them and be more direct and sort of put them in the place, and I sort of become a bit more cheeky than normal. The normal call, I'm super nice, super relaxed. But if I'm speaking to another sales guy and he's giving me that hard time, it's, I'm way more direct, I'm way more to the point, and I'm like, awesome, cool. So you obviously opted in, or you've got something you wanted to buy. So why are we talking? And I'll sort of put the ball back on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see these are strategies that you use. It's interesting when you talk about
Yeah.
them. They sound very technical. Although maybe you do it
Yeah.
without even thinking anymore. Maybe it's just become second nature to you.
For sure, man. It's all like matching energy, yeah. Like if you got someone that's really softly spoken, really quiet, you're going to bring it down and speak slower and softly with them. Whereas if it's, a salesperson that's trying to talk over top of you, then I'm putting you back in your place, and I'm the one selling here and you can listen. And if you don't
Uh,
want to buy, I'm hanging up and I'm going to the next person that wants to buy.
I see, I see. So you've been in the same offer for 5 years that you've said. So like what was that offer?
Yeah, cool. So it's a company called Conscious Education, led by Chris Duncan, who's, he's a guru. He's been sort of in business, since he was 17, multimillionaire, really good guy, one of my best mates, did a speech at my wedding, and he's a really cool guy. He's you put sort of Tony Robbins and Russell Brunson together, and that's him with red hair.
I love that. I
But,
love that. He
he's got
sounds,
the
I want to
spiritual.
have a beer with that guy.
Yeah, man, definitely. So he's like very spiritual, very smart, but then at the same time, such a marketing genius and an amazing salesman as well himself. And I've learned a lot from him. So I guess we just hit it off, man. And the way I see it, it's the same as my wife. And I think it happens a lot in this high ticket industry. People are still, playing the field and playing like they're on Tinder, and they
Yep.
find a good girl, and then they're still on Tinder, still looking for another girl when they've got a good girl right in front of them. And it's the same with my wife. The moment I met her, I was like, no, that dating game's over. She's the one. I loved her within the first few months, and I was like, cool. I'm going all in. We moved together in like two months of being together, and we've been together now 7 years, and it's just been all in. And the reason why is, and I see it in sales, is someone will have an offer that's decent, but it just won't be enough. They might have a shitty week, and that's what happens in the world, or they have they don't get paid as much as they want to right now, or they don't have a good lead or whatever it is. And then they'll just go and start looking at all the other offers under the sun. And then, 12 months later, they've gone through 4 or 5 different roles, but they could have stayed with that one and continued to date it and marry it. And they could have built everything inside of it, and they could have had the complete amazing role that they always wanted. So I think the biggest thing, man, is from a high ticket closers perspective, if we're winning and we're making money, the owner's only going to spend more money and have more opportunity. And
Yeah.
that's a fucking crazy thing to me. When I first started, my KPI was 50 leads a week, not booked in, nothing. They were 50 names and 50 numbers a week. That was it. And now I'm at the point now where I get about 2,500 leads a week allocated to me. And at the start, it was shit. My first comms check, I think, was like $1,800.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, man, I wasn't crushing it. And I could have been like, oh, this isn't the offer. The guy that employed me didn't give me the right thing. They talk shit. And I could have gone and found another one. Then 2 months later, another one, another one. But I just saw the vision and I trusted him as a CEO and businessman.
Yeah.
Within 6 months, I was doing 10K a month in comms.
Mhm.
And then, 8 months in, I started running the sales team. And then sort of like 12 months in, we built courses together. I picked up the whole, sales, everything. I was training people. I was getting paid overrides on people selling, I was crushing it. And, then it goes to sort of 5 years in and I'm on the leadership team getting paid percentages of the company and absolutely crushing what's in front of me, and that all started off as a really hard fucking offer to sell. And it was nearly impossible to sell. We were selling, it's not like, you sell a gym one or you sell, an Amazon e-com thing or you sell, e-com or YouTube automation and you can show them. We were selling mindset meditations. And
Yeah.
and and imagine trying to explain that over the phone to someone that's never felt it and never experienced it. So it was hard, man. But I saw the vision and saw what he was as a CEO. And now it's sort of built this whole company and I've been there since day one on the ride with it and completely married it and completely love everything that I get to do with it. So it's like, and that's obviously rewarded me. I got to start managing people. I got, override percentages on people. I got to say, hey, I want you to promote this campaign this week, and hey, I've got all these people I want you to send this email to. I've got all this thing happening. Let's do this promotion. And I guess, yeah, I married it and stayed with it rather than, staying in the dating arena that I see so many high ticket closers in that doesn't serve them. And they're always looking for something better. Yeah.
Yeah. The grass is always greener on the other side, or so
Yeah.
it
But
seems, right?
greener where you water, man. Greener where you water.
Yeah.
That's
And it
where it is.
seems, I mean, it seems to me like you're very proud of your company. You're very proud of everything that it has to offer, the people that you work with. How do you find that had an effect on your ability to perform in the business as compared to something that you didn't really have that much interest in?
Yeah,
How
it's
does that
key.
change your drive and ambition?
Yeah, it's key, man. All people on the same mission is very different to, 10 sales reps that are just caring about their pockets.
Yeah.
You'll become richer if you're all focusing on the one thing. You're all talking to each other. When it goes hard, you're all together through the hard times. When it's easy, you're sharing each other. You're paying commission bonuses. You're rewarding your team. It was really cool last year. I've got a VA, and at the start of the year, I'd never sold 2 million in a year. And at the start of the year, I said to her, I said, if we go and hit $2 million this year in sales, you'll get a 5K bonus.
Yeah.
And it happened, we ended up selling like 2.3 mil last year. And it was so fucking awesome because I was able to, give her a 5K bonus. And it's just like, if you were in a team that they only cared about money, they were only doing it for themselves, those months where it's hard, they walk away.
Yeah.
They'll leave, it gets hard. They don't get their 10K month. They go and have a cry and they go and, pick another company where they go and do the same. Whereas, with us, we've had some hard months, man. It's business. Right now we're in a bit of a lull. We've had probably one of our worst starts to a month we've had in a long time. But I just know that every time we have a hard month, everyone in the sales team's dials pick up. Everyone starts doing, an extra 50% each day. Everyone goes harder. We start to, overwork it. We start sending texts out to all our old clients, getting them to, come back and pay their balances off or buy the next course. We start booking people in more. We really go for it, in the hard times. And I think that sort of, during the hard times when you got people around you that just love it and love your energy and love who you are, I think you're always going to win versus if you're just in it for making money, you actually don't care about the offer. You don't care if it's impacting people. You end up getting on some YouTube automation that promises them to be a millionaire, and you sell 50 to 100K bangers, and all of a sudden you don't deliver on it, and you get all these people that are angry. I like to sleep at night, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I have been told, and I'll always say this to other people, don't sell something that you don't believe in because,
100%.
yeah, because it's going to come across as being incongruent in the sales process. It's going to be, you want to wake up in the morning and look forward to what you're doing. And you want to
Yeah.
at least, yeah, not just to pay the bills, but hopefully to eventually self-actualize in some way. And for some
For
people,
sure,
that may
man.
be in their career. Some people, it may be completely outside of it and maybe with religion or whatever. But with some people, I think they are lucky enough to have reached at least a little bit or a piece of what they consider meaning and purpose in their career. And do you find that you found a bit of that throughout your personal development, that you found a piece of meaning or self-actualization?
Everything, man. It yeah, it saved me, high ticket sales, and this company saved me. If I hadn't done it, if I hadn't said yes to, the role, then I don't know where I'd be, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't have impacted the people. On my wedding day, I had more clients message me than, friends and surrounding. I had more clients message me and,
Yeah,
have an amazing wedding, that sort of thing. And that was such a cool experience, man. Like every year we send out an email over Christmas and ask them how their year was. And we get some amazing responses of people that's lives are being completely changed because of the work that we've sold them. And as a salesperson, there's nothing better than selling someone and then messaging you months later saying thank you for selling me. That's like, one of the coolest thing. And they
yeah.
become friends, man, because you've done something that's changed their life. So yeah, it definitely opens up your eyes to that self-actualization of, we are actually put on the earth as salespeople to make people will help people make a decision. That's the, that in a nutshell is that's our job. Without us, they'd be lazy. They wouldn't, buy the thing. With us, they would. And, we've got to sell something right. They've got to be able to trust us and we've got to be a good person.
A catalyst. We have to be
Yeah,
a
man.
catalyst at times.
It is.
So, can you tell us a bit about your book and what inspired you to write it?
It's kind of a funny one, man. So the book's it's AI. So about 12 months ago, I started to delve deep into the AI realm and loved everything about it, and
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot of automations happening at the moment. I don't think it's where it will be. Right now I think it's very new for the sales and high ticket closing realm. I think in the future it's going to be such a beast and really help, salespeople to become better. And right now I don't think it is. There's a lot of people selling calling bots and texting bots, and I don't think it's there just yet. I've gone and looked at a lot and it's not there yet. It's probably 6 to 12 months away, but there's a lot around the writing realm. So writing books, writing VSLs, writing webinars, writing content, that sort of thing. And what I found was, Chris came to me and he stumbled upon a really good course and bought it and started to go in depth with it all. And we looked over it all and we are like, cool, we can do this. Like we can write a book. And as books are a great thing. If you've got a book next to your name, people want to know more about you.
Yeah.
It really sets you out, and especially coaches, consultants, it really sets you up as a successful, energy and aura and someone that's actually got credibility versus the millions of other coaches out there. So at the time, I was selling an affiliate marketing offer that was my own, where I was teaching people how to do affiliate marketing and sales and marketing. And we just wanted to test the premise. So I sort of, spoke my own VSL or, my own story into Slack, and Slack was able to transcribe it. And then I put it into a Google Doc, and then from there we started to play around with AI. And there's a really good few companies. Claude's really good. If you haven't
Yeah.
used it, it's
Yeah.
pretty good. There's a few other ones. One called Bookle. It's really
Cool.
powerful. So we literally just put it in there and wrote the journey and the hero story and everything, and it came back, and then I sent it to a ghostwriter. So all up, I spent maybe $500 on all of this.
Yeah.
And then we were able to launch it on Amazon, and it sold hundreds of copies now, which is super cool, man. So yeah, it's not too much about sales. It's more so for the affiliate marketer.
Yeah.
My big one that I'm writing at the moment is about sales, and that's less AI, more me.
Yeah.
And that one will probably be out, in the next 6 to 12 months. They do take time, and you've got to have the right premises, the right philosophy, and it's got to be good, But that one was sort of like a short, quick, put together one. This is it here, actually. It's quite a big book, It looks like a
Yeah.
a uh, pretty big pamphlet book, but yeah, it's quite cool, man. I
I
never
like what's
thought
written on the bottom there too. Could you read out what's written on the bottom?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
So
it
it's no
says,
problem.
yeah, the guide to becoming a high-paid location-free consultant. I love the
Yeah, man.
location-free part because I'm a
That's
digital
it.
nomad, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. So that was sort of it, and it was just a bit of fun. It only took a couple of hours to get it out there and to the world, and yeah, it does well. I've got Amazon ads on right now, and every few days there's someone buying it and leaving 5-star reviews, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
quite a cool process.
great, great. That's awesome. So, One thing I do want to ask is when you're coaching other sales professionals, and obviously you've done a lot of sales leadership, what do you find your clients or the people that you're working with struggle with the most? What's the most common problem, glaring problem, whether it be a part of maybe a psychological blockage or simply not being able to read off a script? What would it be that you say?
There's sort of three things, man. The first one is their actual ability to be able to ask someone for that much money, especially in high ticket closing. Even when I first started, it was all payment plan. I couldn't ask someone for money. The moment I hit a 10K month and I had actual money and I started to, pay off debt and things like that, was the moment that I was able to, ask for that sort of money because I knew I would spend it on myself.
Mhm.
So it's like, I love to get my sales reps really rich. Right now, we have 10,000 leads a month and we've only got 6 sales reps.
Yeah.
An average company of 10,000 would probably have 20 to 30 sales reps. But I have 6 and all of them make, they all sell over 100, 150K every single month. And they're all rich in their own right. They all have, great incomes, great comms, they get paid and we really look after them. And so that's my first one is like, it's the mindset to be able to actually ask someone for money.
Yeah.
That's like the first one. It doesn't matter how good your stack is, how good your pitch is, how good you talk, how much rapport you've built. It's that underlying, assumption of, yeah, this person can afford this. Everyone in the world can afford this. Everyone's got, access to money, especially in first world. We don't target third
Yeah.
world in our marketing. Everyone in the first world should be able to buy something that they actually need and actually desire. Whether that's, they go and mow a lawn and make the money to do it. There's a way to make money in the
Yeah.
first world.
Oh yeah.
There is a yeah. So that's the first one. The second one is consistency, man. I've had some really freaking talented reps that I've loved, and they're like this. They were really big. I played rugby, and they were really the same. It's the same person. They were so, and I was like this myself. I was so naturally talented that I didn't think I had to train. I was quicker than everyone else. I just had a natural ability, and when I was playing sport, I didn't really need to train much. I would train, but I knew that I'd outperform because I had this natural ability and natural talent that most people didn't have.
Yeah.
So the second is that consistency. It doesn't matter how talented you are in sales. If you do 10 calls a day and you're decent, your close rate might be, 50%, you close 5 people. But if someone can go and call 200 people a day and send them to resources and get, 50 people looking at resources, they're going to close way more people and they don't even have to be good. So
Yeah.
that's like the second consistent. And the third one is just that vision. If you don't
Vision.
have a vision,
Thing.
man, if you don't have a vision and you're going after something, my first one was buying my own house. That was a big thing for me. I went from like renting and living on college campus, $200 a week to, buying a $1.5 million house. And my thing was I wanted family and I wanted to, make my wife proud and myself proud and everyone around me proud. And the Australian dream, the American dream is owning a house. And so that was my first thing was, I really desperately just wanted a house. I wanted to be able to, renovate it, decorate it. My wife now, she loves, renovating, decorating. She loves that. She's in an element doing it. And that was like, for me, such a big thing was to be able to have my own piece of land, my own house, my own 4 walls that, I
Yeah.
could call home and invite people to and everything like that. So that was like my driving desire was that. And I wasn't going to stop until I've got it, and was able to pay it down and all that sort of thing. So that was a big thing for me.
A vision.
Yeah.
And what you've spoken about so far, it makes me think about what we hear often, the scarcity versus abundance mindset, scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. And, what you discussed at first, you said that there are some people that are just afraid to ask or afraid to
Yeah.
ask for the big sale. On the offer I'm working on right now, I speak with roofing company owners all the time, and they say that sales professionals are a problem. And they said that they just won't they don't want to ask for 30,000. They want to ask for 24. It's like they won't put on their big boy pants, and they constantly say
Yeah.
that over and over. So you need to be bold, but what can you really say about the differences between a scarcity mindset or abundance mindset in sales, and how would that maybe change the way a person performs and so on and so forth?
Yeah. Well, first is getting them rich. Like that really makes it easy, man. So they're going to have to grind hard at the start. You'll see good sales reps will go from job to job and they're the best performer. The reason is that they're able to ask for the money, where there's another rep that's been on the offer for 6 months and just finding their feet. So like That's the first one where I find it worked really well for me. I was pretty lucky. Me and Chris, the CEO, we had a lot of, the same interests. We love sport. We got to play tennis together. We love whiskey. We love beer. We got to drink together and watch sport together and things like that. So I was hanging out with, a multimillionaire when I first started.
Yeah.
So to hang out with a multimillionaire and see that he's spending, 5, 6 grand a month on, someone just to clean his house and walk his dogs, that's when your mindset's like, oh shit, there are people out there that can afford this.
Oh yeah.
You start to hang out with people, you start to look at, what sort of money, in America, it's probably the same as Australia. The average, 60-year-old, which we normally sell, a 35 to 70-year-old lady. That's normally what we sell. So, a woman that's normally 50 to 60, she's probably, at the top of her career, whether she's a teacher or a nurse, she's probably making, 80K a year. Her husband probably makes decent money as well. They've probably got their house, they paid their mortgage down a bit. The average house in Australia raises at 7% every single year. So if they've got $1 million house, man, they're making 70K passive a year to do nothing but have their house. So their equity and their mortgage, they've got 70K a year. So they can't even pull out for that and put it on a course, and I started to look at things like that. There's so much money and abundance around it, but I had to distance myself from my friends and the people that were in my surrounding because they were broke and they were never going to spend 3,000 on a course.
Yeah.
But for a 60-year-old woman who's been a teacher for the last 30 years, doesn't have a mortgage left anymore, has her cars paid in full, is about to retire and wants purpose and meaning and loves mindset, for her to spend 3K, it's fucking easy. She doesn't even have to talk to her husband. She can just spend it and
Yeah.
that, it's happy days. They drop, 20K a year just on holidays
Oh
and
yeah.
that sort of thing. So it was a difference between, selling young people and being around young people to selling people that were, double my age and had that money that was up their sleeve that they could just spend when they wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So what's next? What does the future look like for you? What are the plans?
Yeah, man, it's a good question. So right now I'm hiring for sales reps. So got this cool 3 tier offer, and it's normally, we work a lot with Filipinos, which is quite cool. So what happens first is they come in tier one, we call it, and they're a complete sales support. So they onboard our clients. So I'll make a sale, they'll call them up, they'll make sure they're happy, they'll walk them through the course, make sure that they sign their sales agreement or their contract, make that person happy, feel loved, welcome them to the community. They'll help us with allocations. They'll help us, reply to text messages. They start there, then they really learn our client. Then the second sort of tier is they come and be my assistant and they start to jam with me. They start to take calls for me. They start to do setting for me. They start to sell themselves. They start to, send people to webinars and really get a feel of it. And then from there, we then send them out on their own to be a high ticket closer and they absolutely crush it. So that's where I'm at the moment. And my big goal is just to find as many people like that, that can crush it from anywhere in the world and really just dominate on the offers we have. That's sort of my big play right now.
Oh, I think I may have someone I can refer to you even.
Oh, cool, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So this is why I love networking. It's win-win
Yeah,
situations for
100%.
everyone, you know. I'm a part of the
100%.
Undeniable Closer Mastermind. So JD Daly is the founder and CEO there. I joined 4 months ago. I
Nice.
started networking. I had no idea what networking was. And I just went out and met a bunch of people. And then I decided to open up a podcast because I love talking and I love going into interesting subjects and getting to know people. And then people started watching it. They're like, wow, this is actually really helping me. So just so pumped up these last 4 months, being able to get great people on. I got Joel Elster, I got Eli Wild, I got many other. I'm getting cold callers, entrepreneurs, people in the roofing industry, the home improvement industry. Just it's all across the map. I'm going to
Nice.
have a podcast with someone that has 1.8 million Instagram subscribers or Instagram followers. Yeah, well,
Nice.
he's a Gen Z personal branding guy. Calls himself
Nice.
Coolness of all things, of course, right?
Yeah, yeah. Nice, man. That's
So
epic.
yeah, it's been quite the journey here, and that's why I love networking so much, and that's why I just like it feels like a networking meeting like this, but
Yeah, it is, man. It is.
it
It's
is,
cool.
but it's a cool
It is.
podcast, and other people get to watch as well.
It
So
is.
the last question that I always ask everyone on here, because there are a lot of people watching this podcast that are going to be brand new to sales, people that are going to be brand new to networking. They've never had a high ticket offer, or maybe they were on a good one and then the leads ran out. And then what do I do now? And I'm applying on Facebook forums. Um, they're afraid to reach out. They're afraid to step out of their comfort zone. They're afraid to make new friends. They're, they're, they have these limiting beliefs. What advice would you have for them in the first stages of their career when they're going out, they're networking, they're looking for work, they're trying to portray a confident persona? What advice would you have for them?
That's good. I think first is like to know what you actually want to sell,
Yep.
what you're capable of. You know, if you love fitness, go sell fitness. If you love mindset, go sell mindset. You love finance, go sell a finance course. There is so many jobs out there for every single interest. So it's like first is like pick that. And then you've got to have a look at the company. You know, do you like the CEO? Do you like their mission? Do you like what they're doing? Does the CEO have money in the bank, or is he just a, a 25-year-old that figured out how to do some things and he's still, getting out of his debt and living at home, or he's, spending all his money on epic pads when he doesn't really have, a financial IQ. That's a big one for me, was like looking at that. So it's pick the CEO, make sure it's good, make sure there's people that are doing decent in the company and there's actually systems built up, because brand new, it's going to be really hard to win if there's no systems. And then just like the biggest thing is the version of yourself right now isn't going to win. You need to scale up. You need to be around. The quickest way is, to change your surrounding. Start
Yeah.
to be around people that scare the shit out of you, that are more successful. Big hint that there's many millionaires around you in every single city. There's many people that are winning. There's so many people online. Like my income's pretty decent. And if someone came to me, hey, Alexi, I'd love to speak to you for 30 minutes on a podcast, or, I'd love to speak to you and pick your brain, I'm always going to do it. I'd much prefer to speak to that person than, waste my time doing other things. So there's always people out there that will speak to you, that will network with you, that will help you, which is a really cool thing. And then from there, it's just, you've got to know that you can win. Like, you've got to know there's actually a winning side of it. You always see people say, if you didn't tell me 3 years ago that I would have all the money I have today and be here talking to you on a webinar, well, it's just full of shit, because that person at one point, they had a dream to get there,
Yeah.
because they wouldn't
Right.
push. So it's like, you've got to have that dream. You've got to have that, tenacity to be like, fuck, this is what I want. I'm sick of where my life's at. I want to be here. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so that's the biggest thing. And then obviously finding mentors, podcasts, things like that, read a lot of books and just take action, because at the start it's never going to be perfect. I know we joked at the start, you had a kettle or something in your background and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm a perfectionist, and
I had to
it
move it
cracks
out
me
of the
up
way
because,
because it was driving me
yeah,
nuts.
it is. And we're the same, we're like, oh, but I want to do more training before I start a job. But
Yeah.
the number one thing you'll do is go and call 1,000 people, go and call 10,000 people and see if it's a fit.
Yeah.
Go and go above and beyond and show the CEO that you'll do more than anyone else, and then you'll get paid.
And the
Yeah.
amount of character and how we develop ourselves personally, our personal development, and how our personality changes. It's amazing throughout this process. And I'm sure you've had a lot of incredible changes with that in the last 5 years, because it seems like your life just took off on a rocket.
Yeah, it did, man. It was
Yeah.
quite bizarre, but it did. One last thing, it's Chris always, says to me, you've got a vision of what you want to go after, and then you ask yourself, you look yourself in the mirror, dead in the eye, and it's, what would the person I'm becoming do right now in this situation? And asking yourself that is just going to harness you to be like, fuck, I'm acting like, the 23-year-old Alexi that's broken and not winning, whereas I need to start acting like the 30-year-old Alexi that's a millionaire and has it all. And that's when you'll start to change your actions and the way you're perceiving yourself and going for it.
I love it. I love it. And I'll just say before we go here, I played rugby myself. And up until about grade 7, I was a prop. And then when everyone went through their growth spurt, I was no longer a prop. I was a
Yeah.
hooker. That was embarrassing. But and then I ended up being a flanker. And flanker was probably was the toughest position I've ever played. I thought it was really tricky. But what are you?
Flanker's
Are
the
you a prop, or are you
nah, man.
position mostly?
Flanker's the outbound setter. That's what the flanker is in rugby. They do that in selling. Nah, man, I was quick as lightning. I was a fullback or outside center.
Oh,
I was
really?
super. Yeah, man. I was really quick.
You're a pretty big guy, though. Okay, well, the
Yeah.
guys
Well,
that
at
are
the moment,
props are bigger, though.
I'm 100, man, 100 kilos
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
Obviously life gets the better of us sometimes. Playing weight,
yeah,
I was about 85 kilos playing weight, so about 15 kilos smaller.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, this has been such a great episode. I had a lot of fun. This was just like an awesome meeting with us drinking a beer, having a coffee. And
Yeah, man, it was.
maybe we'll do this once again. And it's great. And we'll just wave goodbye to everyone on the podcast, and I'll have this posted up later. Maybe I'll make some shorts out of it. Super cool. All right.
Awesome,
See you later,
man.
everyone.
Right, appreciate it.